Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are going to be working on disassembling this frame. It is a 1975 Dodge D100 step-side model. It has all the parts needed to convert it to a Little Red Express. So that's the direction we're going to be going with it. Actually, we're going to be going Midnight Express, which were the black ones. But it's got to go to the sandblasting shop, have the frame all sandblasted, which means we have to take off the bumpers on both ends of it, the chrome rims, which are the 5-slot chrome rims, they need to come off. We've got these steelies to go on there because if they get sandblast paint, if the sandblast hits them, I'm not worried about them. They're just to roll this around on, but we don't want to damage these. We'll take off the wiring on it, get all that off there, take the calipers off. I'll be replacing them eventually. No point in rebuilding those. I like to buy the pre-built ones and just put them on. Take off all the extra lines we don't need. The fuel tank needs to come out. The back bumper will come off, and of course we'll get all the excess parts off the top of it. Then we'll just make sure everything that's left on here, if it gets painted black, it needs to go to the sandblast shop. If it's bare metal, like these brake lines, they're going to be replaced anyway, so they'll probably go to the sandblast shop. I won't bother taking them off, just because they'll keep this plugged up. But as far as that goes, we'll leave those on. We'll put all new lines on it when we're done, and go from there. I probably will leave the shocks in place on this one. Won't take the suspension apart on it. We'll tackle that if we need to, but I believe it's in pretty decent shape on here, so I'd rather not tackle it if I don't have to. We'll see what it looks like when it comes back from the sandblast shop and see how all the bushings are. Until then, let's get to it. Cameron's truck, actually, 1975 D100, as mentioned earlier. We picked it up down in southern Missouri a couple months ago. He's been wanting a Little Red Express to build, so we found this. It's actually not a Little Red Express, being a 75 model, but it has all the parts to make it a Little Red Express. Had the 5-slot chrome wheels on it, had the stacks, had the bed on it with the wood grain. Actually had a Little Red Express bed put on it. Had the stacks, had all the interior that it needed. It was a 318, not a 360 though, which I think for him will be just fine. But he is going to make it into a Midnight Express, which was a black version of it. Only sold in California, if I'm not mistaken. And they were only about 200 of them made. A lot of those were actually, from what I understand, were made at the each dealership made them. They sent them the packages to make them. Sent them all the Little Red Express packages, parts, excuse me, to make them. And so a lot of those trucks actually had 440 motors in them, or big blocks. My suspicion on that was that they were trying to get rid of big block trucks, and that was a way to roll it into a package to get rid of them. But just my suspicion. I don't really know on that. But anyway, this one here will be a 318. Most people can't tell the difference between a 318 and 360 anyway, just by looking at them. And I think for him going into high school and college, it'll be perfect fuel mileage wise. So anyway, he's going to help me on it since this is kind of a father-son project. And I'll kind of walk him through what I need to do, but we'll get started. This right here is why you, even if the brake line looks good, like it did farther up, back where it holds dirt, leaves, whatnot in there, it'll rot your brake lines. That's what it turns them to. So that's why on a truck that we were restoring, it's cheap insurance to put new brake lines on. This right here, wiring harness, I believe going to the back tail lights. And this right here, I don't know if you can see it or not, is the reason you check your wiring over extremely well on a truck that's nearing 40 years old. It's melted the wiring at some point. So somewhere in here, right along in this area, is a short. And I'm sure there's others. These trucks were kind of known for it. Right there, I don't know if you see it or not, it's been pinched and rubbed the coating off the wire. These are good ways to start a fire on a restoration project. So, good reason to replace wiring. It's not hard to do. Painless makes kits for them. I've never used them, but I know they do make kits. Kind of their generic kit, if I remember right. But they're not hard to make your own kits either, or your own wiring harness. It's just tedious. But that's why you check the wiring over really good. Okay, Cameron's got all the tires switched out on this thing, so it'll roll just fine now. We pulled off the calipers down in here, left the bolts. They'll get blasted. We'll clean the threads back up on them. Hopefully they'll take the tires off of it whenever it gets up there, and that way they can blast the inside here. I'll put new bearings in it. Got all the wiring off of the thing. I got the fuel tank out of it, so it's pretty well stripped down to where we're going to leave it at and go from there. So now we are pretty well ready to load it up, with one small problem. We have to unload the hay first, because the trailer is stacked with about 100 bales of hay. So that's our next chore, then we'll load it up. Thank you for watching this week's episode of Sandknob Restorations. The disassembly and delivery of the Midnight Express frame to the sandblast shop. We'll be picking that up pretty soon and bring it back, go through it, make sure all the frame's in good shape, paint it, and get ready to start reassembling it. Until then, if you would, hit that like and subscribe button, because we're going to have some more episodes coming out. This is our next project. We're going to see if we can get this old girl back on the road, at least running and driving, after it's set for about 20 years. So we got her all cleaned up a while back, and I think we can make it run, maybe possibly drive. So until then, hit that like and subscribe button and the bell notification, and have a good week.